Welcome to MySecretMathTutor. If you've ever had trouble dividing two complex numbers, then you're definitely in the right place. With two complex numbers, the idea is we have one complex number divided by another one, and we're going to go through a process to see how we can actually turn this into a brand new complex number of the form a plus bi. But enough talking about it, let's go ahead and jump to our example. So the interesting thing about actually dividing two complex numbers is that you turn it into a multiplication problem. So don't think too much about dividing by the 6i, but instead we're going to think about multiplying. And what exactly are we going to multiply? Well, we're going to multiply the top and bottom of our original expression here by the complex conjugate of the bottom. Now, what do I mean by the complex conjugate of the bottom? Well, think about taking the bottom just as it is. And the only small change you're going to make in there is you're going to use a different sign than what's already connecting them. So this is connected with a minus sign. We'll connect them using a plus sign. So this 6 plus I, that is the complex conjugate of 6 minus I. Right? So we'll use that on the bottom, and we'll also use that on the top, the exact same thing. So you'll see that what I'm really doing is I'm multiplying by 1. It doesn't change the problem, but it is going to allow us to move forward with this problem. All right, so now that I'm multiplying the top and bottom by the complex conjugate, what's next? Well, essentially you have two terms up here, two binomials, and you want to think of foiling this out. All right, so let's carefully keep track of the terms. We have our first terms, 2 times 6. That'll give us a 12. Our outside terms will be the 2 times I, so there's a plus 2i. Inside terms, we have 6i times 6, so a positive 36i. And the last terms, 6i times I, that'll be plus a 6i squared. All right, so foiling that takes care of the entire top, and of course we want to foil the bottom. Watch carefully why we're using the complex conjugate. It's going to simplify very nicely. So 6 times 6, there's 36. Outside will give us a positive 6i. Inside will give us a negative 6i. Kind of special. Plus 6i minus 6i. That's important. And our two last terms, we have a minus I times a plus I, so that's a minus I squared. All right, so it looks more complicated than what we started with, but now the key is taking this and simplifying it, making it even better. So let's go through the terms bit by bit and see what we'll combine and what we can maybe cancel each other out. So let's see, we got a 12, no change there. A 2i plus a 36i, that'll give us a 38i. Here I have an I squared, so of course that'll turn into a negative 1. So plus 6, now that's multiplied by a negative 1. All divided by. Looking at the bottom here, there's our 36. And since we're using the complex conjugate, you'll notice that those outside and inside terms are going to cancel each other out. That's exactly why we're using it. And if you're doing this process correctly, that will always happen. You want a real number on the bottom, and that's definitely going to help us get there. All right, so on to the last part here. So we have minus I squared. I squared is another negative 1. So we simplified quite a bit. We want to take this just a little bit further. Let's see what else we have in here. So 12 plus a 38i minus 1 times a 6. There's a minus 6. That looks good. And on the bottom, I have 36 minus a minus 1. So that's a 37. Since I'm subtracting a negative, that is the same as addition. All right, so now there's just a few more things we can connect on top, such as this 12 minus 6. That'll give us a 6 plus 38i, all divided by 37. All right, and as I said before, notice how we're getting just a real number on the bottom. There is no I in there anymore, so I just have a regular old nice 37. All right, this is almost done. One thing that I really like to recommend to people is you want to make sure it's in the correct form for these complex numbers. In other words, we want to get it in the form of a plus bi, so you can clearly see what the real part and the imaginary part is. In order to get this in that proper form, we're just going to give the 37 to both of the pieces here. So 6 will be divided by the 37, and so will the 38. So this will be 38 divided by 37. And there we go. That would be our final answer for this one. We just had to combine the terms and we're good to go. If you'd like to see some more videos, please visit MySecretMathTutor.com.